Hello. What's up, guys? Let's get this party started. Do y'all have any questions right before I start? I was just going through Daniel's stuff while we were on the break. I forgot how epic he is. Yeah, look at
Hey,
this.
AJ,
Damn. Damn, Daniel. What's up, bud?
how's your recovery
Oh,
from
dude.
the surgery?
So good. It's so much better. Thanks for
Oh,
asking. Yeah. I mean, right now I feel fine. Like, yesterday, um, I realize I have to stay away from the computer. I'm on the computer for too long. I start feeling pretty bad, but not as bad as I was before. I think before I wasn't sleeping and I was working so hard, right? And so it was a combination just bad. And so when they removed the tumor, they also removed some sinus things. So I feel like there's nothing in my head. So I sleep like really well now. Like I woke up today and yesterday I woke up at 5:30 in the morning and today I woke up at 6, right? And I went for like an hour to half an hour to an hour walk in the morning. So I've been walking about like yesterday I walked about a mile and or I think yeah, like a mile and a half or a little bit over that, almost 2 miles, right? And then today walked about a mile and a half. I got an app, so now I can see how much I actually walked. Yeah, a mile and a half, right? Um, my goal is
what's
to start walking at least an hour to 2 hours every day, so I can walk at least between 5 to 10 miles every day.
what's the app called? I need to
It's just a
find
regular
some.
app. It's
One.
just type in walking or pedometer, I think. It's just like just find
Is
an
it?
app that you just hit start and it just tracks your walking. That's it.
It uses GPS, right?
No, it doesn't. It pays attention to locomotion, like the gyro in the phone. But
Uh,
I think GPS works better. That makes sense too, right? Like I said, I just got the app, so I don't know if it's any good. So you investigate for yourself is what I'm saying. Okay, because there might be
okay.
better apps out there. I don't know. Um, right now it works for me. You know what it is just it's just quantifying because I might be walking more or less, but I'm quantifiably knowing how much I'm walking now. Does it make sense? Because according to
Yeah.
my map, it's GPS like where I walked. I just Google mapped it. It said about a few miles. It said like a mile. It was like a mile away from where home is, even though my app says I only walked less than that. But my point is I can look at it and I can just, you know, reliably change what I'm doing. That makes sense? I just
Mm.
want to have something to chart my progress, is what I'm saying. Aside from me just knowing that I'm walking further. Okay?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I usually just count the time.
Yeah, I mean, like the easiest thing is just to see how far you walk and how long it took you, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was doing before, but I was like, why not just get an app and see if that will help? I might end up just not even using the app after like a month, you know? I might just
Mm.
know. But the point is I just want to have some sense of progress so I can kind of quantifiably get better at it. It's like everything I taught you guys, right? Like you want to quantify your growth somehow, whatever it is you want to improve upon. If you don't think it's possible, then that's the first mistake you've made, right? If you don't think you can quantify anything, you can quantify almost everything. And once you do, then you can start to compare the results. Yeah. So anyway, um, yeah. Do you guys have any other questions? Thanks for asking about my health, though. Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah, I have a question. So I was listening to one of the other classes, critiques, and you mentioned you have like some disagreements with like the usual education system.
I do
Uh, I was wondering
pretty
like what
openly
were
too.
your yeah, what I was wondering like what your thoughts were on that because like I know that there's like the majority of the artists that I like look up to, I'd say like 8 out of 10 of them either like dropped out or ended up just not going to art school,
That's interesting.
and
Yeah.
they uh, I think I read a study or something like if they ended up finishing school, they ended up doing something like professorships instead of like going on to be like great masterful artists and stuff like that.
Well, okay.
Um,
I'll interrupt you. I think I
Gotcha.
get where you're going. You don't have to explain more. Um, it's because the school system right now is built to make workers. Okay, it's built to make people to just follow instructions. You understand? And uh, as much as that's needed in a lot of different professions, because there's definitely you know, professions that really require that. You know what I mean? That you just know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
Right, and it's very like for instance like a construction worker, like that's very important and very dangerous job. There's not a lot of education attached to it, but there's definitely some, but a lot of it is just hands-on experience anyway, right? And and the educational system is not training people to even become like construction workers, which is a problem. Right, like think about the school system, right? Think about it from the beginning. So in the beginning, you know, they're teaching you how to draw and color and think about shapes and stuff like that. Really fun stuff to kind of worry about as a kid. And it teaches you a lot, doesn't it? It teaches you quite a bit, in fact, in the beginning. But then as you start going into elementary school, they start to kind of buckle down on stuff like reading, writing, learning some basic sciences and history, right? And but even that, a lot of schools fail at teaching those things. Okay, because if it worked, then a lot of people wouldn't not have we wouldn't be as literate as we are. You know, we wouldn't have science illiteracy as well. You know, like a lot of people just don't know, right?
Mhm.
So clearly, it's not working as well as you think it should. And then the way that they quantify a lot of the stuff, like remember I said you should always quantify your growth, right? I was just talking about it just a moment ago. I'm
Yeah.
talking about it again. The way that they do it is kind of, it only works for certain things. For instance, you know, having a pop quiz and trying to memorize all the dates in history, it's, you're not going to retain any of that information, right? Can you think of anything that in history class that you can kind of like that you had to memorize a date? Can you remember that?
Right.
No,
Definitely
not
not.
at all, right? You forgot it as soon as you walked out the door, right? Because that's not a substantial way to quantify that. Now, a good example of quantifiable tests that some schools do is like something like a math test that has you try to solve equations, but not the equations that you were using on your study guide. You understand? Like if they gave you 2x plus 2 equals 4 on your study guide, uh, you do all the math, right? You go all through it. You get rid of the 2, so then it goes to 2, then it goes to x, then you do that, and x equals 1, right? You get the answer, right? And so you're saying, okay, great, right? But when they give you the test is like 3x minus 5 equals 7 or something, right?
Yeah.
The answer is not 1. You understand?
Yeah.
So purely memorizing is going to make you fail the test. What the study, like this is a good quantifiable test because what this does is it teaches you how to solve the equation. Now that is something that will be harder to forget. You get it?
Hmm.
And a lot of what schools do today is they don't do enough of that on the how or the why, right? They focus on you got to get you got to get an A on this test. If you don't, you're stupid or you're not smart, right? Or you're not going to be able to assimilate into the working class. And it's just like, what? That doesn't make any sense at all. And I think what happens is when you see these people that drop out of school, like for instance, like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and the guys who started Blizzard, and you see it all over the place, Mark Zuckerberg, you know, like you see like tons of these people And I don't. And these are just like huge examples, right? Um, but you look at other people that who did graduate, like Tim Burton, I believe, graduated, and John Lasseter graduated from his college. But they were outstanding. They were extraordinary.
Yeah.
You know, they graduated, but they still were bending the scope of what was asked of them. Okay, does it make sense? And I think
Yeah.
schools don't challenge the students in that way, and that's why people end up leaving or dropping out or not feeling educated. Um, you know, the school system is broken because they're training people to literally have no skill. Okay, and I had an ex-girlfriend, and when she went to her first job interview, she brought her diploma with her, thinking that she needed it, and obviously she felt embarrassed after she realized how silly it was that she brought that piece of paper with her. You know,
Yeah.
and then the she was a wreck because all the questions that they were asking her, she didn't know the answers to, and she spent 4 years in school, and she still had no clue how to do the job. Right, but she got the
Yeah.
job anyway because a friend of a friend got her the job. Like her friend was friends with the boss who was in charge of hiring, and they just vouched for her. So if she didn't have that, she wouldn't have gotten the job. They're like, all
Yeah.
right, well, I guess you're good enough. We'll just kind of have to teach you on the way, but it seems like you're capable of learning, right? And so, and every day she worked at that job, she just was like clueless. Like she just was constantly frustrated and stressed out every day because she just was like realized she had no clue how to do the job, right? She did a really good job though. She really worked her butt and really worked her ranks. But it was almost like she never should have even went to school. Is what my point is, right? Like, what was the
Yeah.
point? My best friend, he went to college too. He graduated. He got his degree, and he couldn't get a job because there was just no jobs out there that he was interested in. So he's like, well, I guess I need more school. That's what the school's telling him. So he went to school again. And after I think a few months of going to school, he called me up and he was really depressed and really upset about it. And I asked him why, and he's like, I feel like the same problem is going to happen 4 years from now. I'm going to graduate and I'm going to just be in the same situation. I feel like nothing's going to change. Right? He's like, I feel like I'm just doing more school. It's just instead of I'm just doing more homework, you know, and I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm actually getting any kind of job skills. And I'm like, well, you're probably not. And he's like, and I don't really know if I want to do this as a job, actually. I just did it because it sounded cool when I was going through the thing, but I really don't know if this is something I actually want to do for the rest of my life even. And I said, okay, well then what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I want to, he's like, I don't know. I was like, what do you want to do? Like, if you didn't have to worry about anything, like if you just can, like other people's opinions of you or just even what you think, like what would you want to do? And he said, I would like to be an actor. And I was like, well, then be an actor. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, you know. And then he did that. He was an actor for like a year, and then he learned something on the way. He learned about previs and being a PA because he was doing whatever he could to get on sets, right? And he started learning like this like technical stuff, right? And he was really good at it. He's a really technical guy. Like he loves games like Civilization. You know, I hate that game. He loves that
Yeah.
game, right? And that's nobody likes doing all the technical stuff. He's like, I'll do it then, you know. And then that skill started getting him more jobs, like jobs, and he started getting paid more and more and more, and he started becoming more of an expert of it, and he started loving it and kicking ass at it, right? And he switched his from being an actor to a previs slash tech artist, and now he's like one of the best in the industry. He's worked on movies like Jungle Book, um, Fantastic Four, you know,
Mm.
and he loves it. He's worked on a lot of. He's like in the VR space, and he does like amazing VR stuff now, right? And my point is that he loves it, and he's really good at it. But now he's like, I want to be a writer, and I'm like, cool. And he's all right. See you guys. And he's starting to write now. He's written over a dozen short stories that are about a few thousand words each, right? And he's written over almost 50 short stories that are about like a page long with me and my images. And he's written over 100 fables, and he's done this all within a year, and he's finished 2 novels.
Wow.
So he might not be doing it for a living, but just like I've been talking to you guys about this stuff, it's just a matter of time. He's not stopping or slowing down. You get it? So right now, and he knows this because him and I are in the same wavelength now, right? Because before he was lost, but now he knows exactly. Because he's like, yes, if you want to do something, you just do it a lot, right? Because you're gonna be bad at first, right? Like I remember his first short stories were really kind of exposition fill. Like there's just so much exposition. Like he would describe just like every grain of sand that was in the image, of the story. And I was like, it sounds like no one cares about that. Okay. He's like, you need to get to the story, the meat and the bones. And he's like, all right, you're right. And then he started reading more books. 'Cause like I said, you have to look at reference, right? So if you want to get good at writing books, you better start reading books. What does Stephen King do? Stephen King advice to young writers, aspiring writers, is that you got to read a lot and write a lot. Because he's like, that's all I ever did. And he wrote so much and read so much that when he wrote Carrie, when Stephen King wrote Carrie, right, he was just basically like, oh, this is garbage. And he just threw it away. And his wife was like, no, I think this is actually not garbage. I think all the other stuff might have been, but this is like dope, you know? So she took it out of the trash and she sent it to a publisher. And they're like, this is amazing. We would love to publish this book. Imagine, you know? But that's how often he wrote, right? He wrote so much that he didn't even like half of the stuff, if not all the stuff he was writing. But the point is that Stephen King did something a lot and all that stuff. So getting back to kind of my friend and kind of your question, right? The educational system doesn't teach this. It doesn't teach you to fail. It doesn't teach you that you're allowed to suck. You know, it doesn't teach you that there's more than 5 jobs out there. Okay, if I was given the opportunity to restructure the whole educational system, I would design it that every class that would be required of you would be some sort of kind of class that teaches you some sort of job. Okay, so for instance, if you're really interested in science, then you'll have more science classes. Uh, but you would also be required to know how to draw a horse, right? Or like an apple, like do still life drawing, like actually be able to draw. You would also have to have some ability of creative writing, like you would also have to create a short story. You would also have to know a musical instrument, right?
Yeah.
Just as much as every class now forces people to learn science and history and English, even if they have no interest in it, right? I think that if you're an artist, that you should also have requirements of science classes, math classes, etc. But those would be subsidiary. You get what I'm saying? Most of your classes would be like if you wanted to be an artist, like 4 out of the 6 or 7 classes would be art driven, and the other 2 would kind of elective, quote unquote, would be science and math or English because that is important
So
to
like a
learn too.
conservatory.
Yeah, those stuffs are important to learn too, right? But it shouldn't be shoved down your throat. You should be focusing on things that will actually strengthen the things that you want to be better at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, none of us, like the science and math that I know today, uh, is not because of school. Like I was introduced to it, but the only reason why I take a fancy to especially science is because I really do like science. You know,
Yeah.
like physics class was my favorite class that I took when I was in high school. You know, I don't know any of the French that I learned in my French speaking class. I don't remember. I don't remember half of the stuff I learned in history class, and I still have a hard time writing. Right? And I went to school for 12 years to learn how to write English, and I still am very bad at it. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I feel school should be. Like high school, middle school to high school should basically be teaching students what jobs are available. You get it? And so when you graduate from high school, then you're not as confused, right? You shouldn't be
Yeah.
spending money trying to discover what you want to do.
Yeah.
You should be doing that for free. You should be discovering what that is. So I have a son, he has a disability, and he's been taking life classes, like life skill classes, and like cooking and like um, social management. And
That's great.
I'm like, dude, that doesn't seem like a disadvantage. I wish I would have learned that, right? I
Sounds
wish I
really
would have.
awesome.
Yeah, I wish people would have taught me about financial responsibility and stuff like that in school. I didn't learn any of that in school. That's like pretty important,
Yeah.
you know? Like I'm to this day still learning about that, right? And that's kind of like the problem that I have with the educational system is just this like it's not designed very well. It
Yeah.
worked for a while, like because like a lot of high schools and stuff were prepping people for industry because there was a time where there was a lot of necessity for engineers and doctors and stuff like that. So college was initially invented for that, right? Like American college, westernized college.
Yeah.
But this type of thinking that I'm talking about is not like a unique idea that I just came up with. This is something that we actually people used to do, like apprenticeships, you know, master studies. Like if you wanted to learn a craft, you like when you were a 12-year-old boy or girl, you would live pretty much with that person, you
Yeah.
know, and they would teach you how to be a blacksmith or a carpenter or an engineer or whatever, right? It's only when we started putting money behind college and we need and had a huge necessity for engineers because of the war and all that kind of crazy stuff, right? That when everything was all settled, we're stuck with this garbage system. And college is pretty garbage too, because like lots of people are spending tons and tons of money for something that's not even a guarantee, right?
Yeah.
And like for instance, like I have no quarrels about telling you guys there's no guarantee that you'll get a job by the end of my class, right? That's absolutely true. And no one's delusional about that when you guys take my class, right? But I am definitely uh, definitely encouraging to tell you, well, if you put some time and effort to this, there's no doubt in my mind you will get a job if you keep this up, right? Will
Yeah.
it be
So
tomorrow?
I
Will it be a year from now? Who knows, right? But the point is that and I do some simple math, right? This one made me decide to leave college. I realized that so how could they guarantee me a job when there is literally tens and thousands of people going to school for the same thing that I'm doing, you know, and there's only like 100 jobs, right? So how can they guarantee that? It's like there's no way, all right? Like I live in California, so like I have much better opportunities. So specifically, like when I was going to AI Orange County, you know, there would be if my graduating class, there would have been at least a few hundred of us, right? But there would have only been a few dozen job opportunities for the hundreds of us, right? That would have graduated. And I realized the people who would get jobs would not be the people that have good grades. It would be the people that have good portfolios.
yeah.
And then when I realized all I need is a good portfolio, I realized I don't need to go to school anymore. I can do that on my own. And that's what I did.
So how do you feel like about school being used as like to refer back to like Dragon Ball Z like as like an incubator chamber, like a hyperbolic time chamber where you just like that's all you focus on to like sort of I guess make
Well,
time like
school is great if it gives you all the resources, but I'm trying to say they don't even do that. It's different.
yeah,
It's not even a hybrid. It's like more like a time capsule. By the time you get out of
yeah,
or by the time you get out of college, you're actually behind. You're like, what? I didn't know this was going on. You know,
yeah,
it's the opposite. Like me and my friends had to dig for the appropriate education that we were really needed. We would
yeah,
sit in, like I would sit in on my favorite teachers' classes. Like there's 5 of them that I can name out of like like the few dozen that I had. I remember I had a math teacher in college, and I was going to a Noman event. Noman like runs these like events with artist talk, and it's amazing, right?
yeah,
And I was going to one, and I told her that I had to go because it's this really great opportunity. So I was going to have to miss class, right? And she's like, "Well, if you miss class, I have to mark you absent." And I'm like, "Well, it's fine, you know." And my school, if you have 2 absences, then they will drop you out of the class. So then Comic-Con came and I had to go to Comic-Con because I wanted to show my portfolio to people. And I told her, I was like, look, I know you're going to drop me out if I go to this thing, but please, like, don't. Like, this is, like, really valuable to my career, right? It's like, I'm not trying to, like, look, I've been turning in all the assignments. Like, I was like, I had an A in the class in terms of math because I like math, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like I was doing bad and I was making excuses. I was actually kicking ass in the class, right? And I thought that was enough. I thought I had enough evidence to kind of prove my case, you know? And she's like, nope, this rules are rules. And I'm like, listen, like, I'm not going to be a mathematician, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be a concept artist and I need to go to this art events because it's going to be helpful. And she's like, rules are rules. And then she dropped me out of the class for going. And I was like, that was the first clue that my school's kind of garbage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that just would happen often and often and often. And the day that I quit schools when I had the final straw was where I was sitting in a class, a compositing class, and my teacher told me that I should stop drawing in class because I was painting. And I was like, I respectfully disagree. I need to be painting as much as I can, you know, because this is what I want to do. And I was like, I'm not saying that compositing isn't important. I know there's the jobs there, you know, but I'm not going to be a compositor. This is not in the cards for me, right? As I'll turn in the assignment or whatever, and he was like, he got real upset. I think mostly because I kind of confronted him with some real knowledge, you know, some real logic. And I wasn't trying to like scold him or make him feel bad about it either. I was just genuinely trying to say like, and you know why? Because I've talked to I had some other teachers. Like I said, I had some really great teachers. I had like a modeling teacher. I was like, look, I don't want to be a modeler. I want to like, you know, paint and stuff. Like, do you mind if I just paint and I'll do like really crappy models for you? And he's like, that's fine. And he allowed me. He allowed me to paint in class. You know what I mean? And had no issues with that. He understood that that's what I wanted to do. And I would turn in my crappy assignments, and he would give me a C. And then we shook hands and parted ways. You know. And he was actually super supportive. He saw that I was making progress, and so he's like, you know, I'll give you passing grades. You don't even have to turn in the homework. And I was like, wow, great. You know, because he saw that I was like taking it serious. It wasn't like I was just trying to like avoid the homework. You know. Case in point, so that teacher didn't do that, and he was super resilient um, to my suggestion that maybe it's ridiculous to tell students not to draw in an art school, right? And he got upset and he kind of like was yelling at me about it. And then I just shut up, paid attention to the rest of the class, and then went to the counselor and dropped out, right? And I remember I went into the counselor and was like, I think it's pretty bizarre that if I'm in art school and teachers are forced are literally forcing me to not work on my craft. You know, they're like literally enforcing this idea that I shouldn't be drawing. It's like if anywhere, it's like I get this if this is like a normal college or some sort of public college, but it's not. You know, I don't get this, and it was very frustrating. And I feel like that was a good statement that's like a good kind of statement of the educational system as a whole for me, right? Um, and that's why I encourage people to not worry so much about going to good schools. I would say go to good teachers, right? I had a student who wanted to go to Art Center. I suggested he go to Brainstorm instead because it's cheaper and plus there's just amazing teachers, right? And then he did, and he loves he loves it, and he decided not to go to Art Center at all. Yeah, does that help you out? Hello? Too much knowledge made him drop his internet.
Hey AJ, I have a question about thumbnails.
Wait, hold on just a second.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. What were you saying? This will be the last question, by the way, guys.
Okay. In your jobs, like the one you showed us about StarCraft, do they give you a specific number about thumbnails to give, or just
Oh
you
no,
choose the
no, not
ones you
really.
like?
Yeah, not really. Like that is me giving you the specific number is just more of like a tool to help teach you, right? I
Mm.
would say like a good set of thumbnails would be like 5 or 6, but you would do that in a day. You would have to show that to the like. Imagine your boss comes in and says, make a bunch of creepy monster designs. Right? You're like, all right, great. And then that's Monday. Tuesday, I would want you to hopefully have 5 or 6 monster designs to show to your boss. And I want them to be more than thumbnails too, right? I want them to be a little bit more elaborate, right? So the thumbnails is to teach you how to draw quicker and get your ideas down quicker, and not to be um, so tied down by them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because they look at them and they may not like them at all, and make you do them again, right? And so that's like teaching you how to do it again and again and again and again. Because it's just how it's going to be. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Yeah, because yeah, there's no arbitrary number. I mean, perhaps some companies will do that to you, and if that's the case, then just do it. That's the job. But for real scope of like, does that happen often in the industry? Nah, not really. No one's ever like draw 10 thumbnails. You know, sometimes I will just do that for myself. I will say I'm going to draw 10 thumbnails. You know what I mean? Because it's
yeah,
just going to make it easier for me to kind of have a goal and try to reach it. But overall, I usually don't think that that's a common thing that happens or even to worry about. But if you do the assignment as I ask of you, right?
yeah,
You are capable of working. Now, that doesn't mean that it'll be really comfortable and really easy. It won't be as frustrating as it would be before. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Because I had some students who took on jobs that are even more demanding, and they're like freaking out, but at least they had some system of doing thumbnails and painting, and then they would just work around it. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for the class. You guys did really good work this week. I really appreciate it. With that being said, keep working hard, keep working together, and like talk with one another. Don't be strangers to each other. Like try to help each other out. Paint often and stay consistently researching and practicing outside of your homework, to help make your homework even better. And with that being said, take it easy, guys. Have a great weekend. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to watch more in the future. If you liked the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you like this content, you can go to my website, robotpencil.net, where you can find mentorships, tutorials, and a Patreon to get more exclusive content. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next videos.